Welcome back to the Primitive Camping and Bushcraft podcast. My name is Chris Spear, and I'm going to be your guide to enjoying the great outdoors. Have you ever sat and wondered, which way is the best way to cook your food when you're camping? Are you a person that's the easy guy? I just want to warm some water up, throw some dehydrated or some freeze-dried food in there. Or are you the kind that wants to build a stove and, cook stuff over an open fire and all that? Well, today we're going to take a deep dive into various cooking methods, and we're going to show you different techniques for whenever you're out in the woods camping. Don't forget to pick up your copy of my book, Primitive Camping and Bushcraft. It's available at all major online retailers. And don't forget to join the Facebook group, Primitive Camping and Bushcraft, where you can get in on the discussion. So let's dig in. Now, cooking is the final chapter of the book. And so, like I stated before, we're going to go all the way back to the beginning, and we're going to just pick one little thing at a time and take a real deep dive into it from here on out. I wanted to do a real quick 30,000 foot flyover and just show you guys all the contents of the book. But today we're going to discuss the importance of cooking whenever you're camping or when you're in the great outdoors or whatever situation you're in. You're hiking, backpacking, camping, you're doing a backcountry trip, whatever. So cooking is essential for health and energy, and it helps you maintain your nutrient levels, and it helps you maintain your energy, and also it keeps you from getting sick, and it keeps all the diseases and everything away. Now, the benefits of cooking your own food versus relying on prepackaged foods is the fact that prepackaged foods weigh a ton. I'm not discouraging you from bringing them. If you want to bring them, go ahead. Every once in a while, I slip a can of Spam or a can of Vienna sausage or something like that in my backpack whenever I'm heading out, just to break up the monotony, add a little flavor, add a little bit of something different, And then, but the benefits of cooking your own food is also it keeps you not entertained, but it keeps you busy. It keeps your mind from wandering off, stuff like that. Allows you to concentrate on tasks and helps you just really to unplug. And it's really a great aspect of camping. Now, the main thing that you need to be aware of is cooking temperatures. So one of the most important things to remember when you're out in the woods and you cook foods that you brought, or you cook foods that you procured, or you cook, if you were hunting and you dispatched an animal for dinner, cooking temperatures are extremely important. And so I wanted to go over the cooking temperatures real quick before we start getting into different cooking methods. So if you want to be extra cautious, you can bring a small food thermometer with you, but generally, if you just cook your food until it's way overdone, you ain't going to have a problem. But, beef, pork, veal, lamb, and roasts and stuff like that is going to be 145 degrees. You want to cook it to 145 Fahrenheit or 62.8 degrees Celsius. Any kind of ground meats, you want to cook them to about 160 degrees or 71.1 degrees Celsius. Birds, any kind of poultry, you want to cook your poultry until it's 165 degrees, and that's 73.9 degrees Celsius. All poultry, breast, whole birds, legs, thighs, wings, ground meat, giblets, and stuffing has to be 165 degrees Fahrenheit or 73.9 degrees Celsius. Eggs, you want to cook them to 160 degrees, and that's 71.1 degrees Celsius. Fish and shellfish is a little bit different. You want to cook them to 145 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 62.8 degrees Celsius. And that goes the same temperatures for frogs and snakes. And the reason why I threw them in there is because I do routinely catch frogs and I have eaten snakes. And, those items right there are going to be cooked to 145 degrees. Dutch ovens are great, but they're heavy. You can have an aluminum Dutch oven, which I have cooked off of many Dutch ovens, aluminum Dutch ovens, and I've cooked armadillo in one, I've cooked possum in one, I've cooked all kinds of stuff in Dutch ovens. Skillets, logs, rocks, open coals. You can actually throw food onto the open coals. You can rake your coals to the side of your fire and place your pot and pan directly on the coals, or you can just throw your food on the coals. I've seen a lot of people, they will take steaks, they will rake the coals out to the side. They will throw them steaks out there on them coals and they'll cook it, and then they'll flip it over a little bit later and cook it again. And, to me, it is a little gritty. I've done it before and it's just got a lot of grit on it. I don't like a lot of grit, but oh well, to each their own. You don't have a pot or pan. But anyway, pots and pans are very, very important. One of the things, I've discussed this in the water section that, pots and pans are essential items to carry with you in the woods. A metal container is one of the most important things that you're ever going to carry with you in the woods. And so if you're going to have a pot and pan with you or a metal container with you, you might as well bring some sort of small pot or some small pan or something to that effect. And they don't weigh a lot. You can get them in aluminum. You can get them in titanium. You can get them in stainless, and stainless steel is going to be the heaviest option there. Titanium pots are incredibly lightweight, and they come in various sizes. Titanium is usually used for smaller cookware, such as cups and lightweight pots, and is ideal for boiling water. And they're perfect for reconstituting freeze-dried foods. Aluminum has anything from 24 quart pots and bigger, and they're a very lightweight option. And these things, I've got pots up at the restaurant that I've used that are completely made out of aluminum, and these things are huge. You cook 4 gallons of gumbo in it at a time, 4 or 5 gallons, and aluminum is a lightweight option that has been a camper go-to for a long time. Aluminum tends to have fewer hot spots. Now, titanium has a lot of hot spots in it, but aluminum has a little bit less hot spots. And all a hot spot is where, it gets hotter in certain areas before it does the other. So the metal might be a little thinner and it generates a little hot spot there. So depending on the pot style and thickness, it cooks food more evenly, the aluminum will. Now, moving on over, we have stainless steel. Stainless steel is very prevalent in the camping world. You got the Pathfinder 10-inch stainless steel skillets. That's pretty much everybody's seen those dudes. You got stainless steel pots and pans and bush pots and what do they call them? Billy pots and stuff like that. Stainless steel is much heavier than titanium and aluminum, but it is durable and dependable, making it perfect for using it in the woods. And, one of the things about stainless steel is that it's not very difficult to clean. A lot of people make fun of me because I'll tell them that I could bring some steel wool to start a fire in the woods, but really what I'm bringing the steel wool for is to clean my stainless steel pots. In the event of something happens, you can start a fire with it. But steel wool is perfect to clean your stainless steel, your aluminum, your titanium, all that, whenever you get out there in the woods and your food sticks. Stainless is notorious for having food stick to it. It's it does have some hot spots to it, but it is very robust and it lasts a long time. Now there's another one, cast iron. Cast iron is not the go-to thing for camping and hiking and stuff like that, because I'm telling you right now, cast iron is heavy. And, I got a 2-quart pot, and I made an example of it in the book here. I got a 2-quart pot and it weighs over 7 pounds. And this 2-quart pot, iron pot, weighs more than 7 pounds, making it pretty impractical for hiking in the woods. If you're trying to mind your weight and you're trying to walk a long distance, that 7 pounds is going to tear you up. Now, enamelware is where they did some kind of porcelain coated steel, and it's good stuff. It's lightweight. It does get some hot spots in it, but not as much as regular stainless steel, and stuff does stick to it. But the problem with that is once porcelain cracks, if you drop it and it cracks there, it will start chipping off into your food. That's the only difficult the only disadvantage, not difficult, but disadvantage to the enamelware. It's not as heavy as stainless steel. I don't know how to describe it, but it's roughly the equivalent in weight to stainless steel. And that's what I put right here. It is somewhat more stick-free than regular stainless, especially if you have some kind of grease or some oil or something like that to line the pot with and then throw your food on like that. I recommend only using these pots over the coals because they are going to crack if you get them extremely hot over open flames. So moving on, we're going to go to stoves, ovens, and grills. Wood burning stoves are amazing. I've used a wood burning stove for years. My favorite one is a $24 just wood burning stove off of Amazon, and it folds open like a book, and you put your little grill on top. And I've cooked many pots of beans on there, and I describe it and I show it a lot in the book. But wood burning stoves are a fantastic weight to value ratio, and you can use them to cook food anywhere you go, and you don't have to carry extra weight of fuel sources because you can use leaves, you can use twigs, you can use trash if you got to. Anything that'll burn can be a fuel source. And, twig sticks, pine cones. And over the years, I've cooked on an untold number of these wood stoves. And I can't tell you how many pounds of beans, red beans I've cooked. Red beans and stews are typically what I cook when I go into the woods. And because they're easy to cook, they're lightweight, and they're very nutritious, and they have a lot of protein in them. Propane and butane stoves. Now, the jet boils come on the scene, and everybody wants a jet boil. Everybody wants to use the jet boils, and I'm like, yeah, that's great, but they really, like, if you're just trying to heat up some coffee or some water real quick so you can throw in some freeze-dried food, that's a jet boil is the way to go. But its extra weight is sometimes not really what you're looking for, because you got 24-ounce cans of propane, you got 3.9 ounce, 8 ounces, 16 ounce, and you can actually find 24-ounce cans of propane, and they weigh a lot, and those. You really don't want that extra weight in your pack. If you're not going to carry extra weight with pots and pans, why are you going to do it with a stove? Sometimes, listen to me. There's going to be places where that's the only option that you have is propane. Now, I get it. I understand. But down here in the South, the South, East, and West of the United States, where it's relatively warmer environments, unless you're way up in the top of the mountains, you're not going to need a propane stove. Not that I'm against it. I'm really not against it. I just personally prefer not to carry a propane stove. I have before, and it was great, but it was just extra weight that I could have used in a wood-burning stove. Now, here's the thing between a wood-burning stove and a propane stove. The propane stove, a wood-burning stove, are essentially, if there's a fire ban or something, they're considered stoves. You can still cook on them. You can still use them. If there's a fire ban, you cannot dig a trench and start a fire in a national forest or anything like that and say, hey, look, I'm cooking on here because there's a fire ban. You can't do it. But if you got a stove, you can actually use that stove during a fire ban. So there is a thing called a bedroll stove in here. And essentially what it is lightweight, it's convenient, it's a complete cooking system that comes in a single bag that can be rolled up in your bedding, hence the name, the bedroll stove. They used this a lot during the Civil War. And so they made them out of wrought iron. And it was just a cook system that you shove it into the ground, and you made a hook and a hanging system over it where it hangs your pots over the fire, and you can raise it, lower it, and you can adjust your temperature with that. They had different variations that they use. Now the bush pot is one amazing item. It can be used for so many things. I use my bush pots for cooking, for fetching water. I use them for stoves, for ovens to cook biscuits and stuff like that. Now, I've done a video out there on my YouTube channel. I've done this video where I went out and I made biscuits, and I made biscuits with my freeze-dried meal, and I used the bush pot as an oven, put that biscuit in there, and it was pretty good. It was real good. Actually, the puppy dog loved it. I took one of my dogs with me camping that time. Now, packable grills, they got all kinds of packable grills on the market today. You got the ones that are made out of stainless steel wire. You got the ones that's just made out of just regular, steel. Then you got the titanium grills and stuff like that. Now, these grills, once you burn them, especially the carbon steel grills, once you burn it, it's going to start rusting. But you have to continuously, everybody's seen a barbecue pit. Once you cook on it a couple times, it's going to start rusting, and you got to scrape it off, clean it off. No matter what it is, you're going to have to clean it. But, these packable grills are real cool. And I have a couple that I take with me. The legs just fold out. You dig a little hole in the ground. You put that grill on top of the hole. You light your fire under there, and you're good to go. You got yourself a little stove, and you can do you one or two of those, cook you two different things, two different items, whatever you want. If you got a big fire, you can just rake you some coals to the side, put that grill over the top, and it adjusts and allows you to either raise it or lower it, depending on what you need. And those grills are pretty cool. I cover those in the book extensively. And, if you're going like, let's say you're using a boat, some kind of conveyance like an ATV or a boat or something to get way back up into the woods, and you're going to have like a little camp right there, it's going to be feasible for you to bring a large grill. You could bring a larger grill with you, and you can set that puppy up over your fire or whatever, because you got something to haul it with. You're not having to haul it in your backpack. And one of the things that I do all the time is I'll camp on the river. I'll load my stuff in the boat, and I'll just drive down the river for a mile or two or more than that. I got a couple little camping spots that are way away from the boat launches and deep into the woods, and I'll just bring my boat, park my boat, get out there, walk to the camp, 100 yards or so off of the river, and I'll just set up camp. And that's my favorite place to camp, is out there on the river. It's just amazing stuff. But depending on what you're doing, you're not going to be hauling stuff around in your backpack. So let's move on to primitive cooking tools and methods. So, primitive cooking tools are going to be like, setting up the pot hooks and stuff like that. You can set up a pot hook where you cut out a pot hook notch, and then put you up a support that'll hold the weight of it, and you can hang your pot on the bottom of it. And all these things are in here, and you can cook over direct flames. I don't know if you can see that too well for those of you watching the video, but you can cook over direct flames with your pot crane. And a pot crane is easy. It is extremely easy. You could use it to cook you a chicken or cook you some kind of meat, a fish, whatever, over the open flames. And or you can put a notch in there and put your bail on there and just hang your pot over the fire. And that is the most common way to actually cook food over a fire, is by using a pot crane. And a lot of people do it and they don't even know what it's called. And me, I use what's called an adjustable pot crane. I've started using one of these a while back where, oh, excuse me, where it's just like 1, 2, 3 sticks. One's got a V in it or a Y, and I'll lash it together with a stop stick on top and put it up against a pole that is driven into the ground. And this pole is the vertical support, and you're able to put a notch at the end and adjust where it goes. You can raise it, lower it, move it left, move it right, on and off of the fire, and you could cook your food. You can adjust the temperature, so it doesn't matter how hot your fire is. You can raise it up and down. And I got the full demonstration on how to build that thing right here in the book, Primitive Camping and Bushcraft. Now, one of the easiest methods that everybody uses, I mean, a lot of people have used this. I can't say everybody, but one of the easiest methods is a tripod. I mean, just plain and simple. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Plain and simple, a tripod. Tripods have been used to cook for centuries. They're easy to make and easy to use. They have multiple uses beyond cooking, making them a versatile item to keep around the camp. So you can make you a tripod, and you can make a tripod, build a chair. You can make a tripod, 2 tripods, and make it to where you can build a bed. You can use a couple of tripods to make water filters. You can use tripods. Tripods are just so versatile. You can use them for almost anything. And then, it's easy to make them, and they're perfect for hanging your food. You could use them for smokers. You can make smokers with them. You can catch your fish and hang you some fish inside there, light you a small fire on the bottom, and just let the smoke come through. And you can line it with some with a blanket or a tarp or something like that, or you can just use natural branches and leaves and stuff like that from trees and down stuff out there. Now, open fire roasting is one of the most primitive way to cook. People have done open fire roasting just by using a pot crane. It's just a little higher. You could put it on a spit. You can make this, stretch it out across your fire, put it on there, put whatever food you're doing, and you just rotate it around over and over and over. And it is one of the easiest ways to cook food. But remember, when we opened up, you have to make sure your food is cooked to temperature. That way you don't get, sick. You don't want to get sick. So, all right. Now, let's see. We did the tripod, stuff like that, vegetables. Now, let's go over different types of food that you'll be cooking in these things. You got meats that it's very important for you to cook your meat thoroughly, and you want to have different ways to flavor your meat, marinate your meat. And I have the ultimate is Lipton onion soup. Lipton onion soup mix is lightweight, is very convenient to carry. It comes in its own little pouch, and you can go ahead and cover your meat with that. You can flavor your beans with that. You can flavor anything with that. And it will make anything good. Anything tastes good, and then you could even make a vegetable soup out of it. You could cook your food and throw it in there with the Lipton onion soup mix. Golly, I'm getting tongue-tied. So Lipton onion soup mix is amazing. One of the last things I want to go over here will be safety tips, fire safety and regulations. Make sure unless you're in a complete survival situation, which, if I was in a survival mode, I wouldn't care about rules and regulations. But fire safety, you don't want to catch the whole world on fire. You want to be safe whenever you're out there. go ahead, dig you a trench, and they done studies that the fire rings that people want to put, that's for your safety, not for the whole woods' safety. That's for your safety of mind. And, fire rings are not really that safe. They really don't contain the fire, because usually what happens is the fire is going to blow an ember, which is going to come up and land somewhere else and catch everything else on fire, way away from the safety ring that you put around for your, peace of mind. That's the word I was looking for, was peace of mind. Now, make sure you safe handle it. If you handle your raw foods, make sure you wash your hands, especially when you're out in the woods. And if you have a first aid kit, you should have a little bit of hand sanitizer in there, unless you didn't bring one with you. But wash your hands. If you handle raw foods when you're in the woods, wash your hands, because it is extremely easy for you to touch that raw food and then put something in your mouth, touch your mouth. You would not believe how many times you actually touch your mouth and you never realize you put your nasty, diseased hands in your mouth. So wash your hands after touching any kind of food. Let me go over just a couple little things that you might want to bring with you. Aluminum foil. Aluminum foil is amazing. Aluminum foil is a fantastic item to have on hand for cooking. And you place your fresh catch of the day with some vegetables in the foil and double it over. And that stuff, you throw it next to your fire and it'll cook it, steam it from the inside. And that stuff is amazing. Then you want to bring you some camp utensils. There's a million different types of utensils out there. One that I've found that I was given as a Christmas present here recently is called the survival spork, and I showed that one in the book as well. And what it does is it pulls apart. You have the spork and you pulls, and you have a knife and you pulls again. You got a ferro rod and you can start a fire. So it's an all-in-one survival item, and that thing's pretty cool. And I've used it on a camping trip before, and it's pretty cool. But, you want to make sure you have different items for different things. Essential, while not always essential, aluminum foil can make camping easier. And that's what it's all about, is trying to make camping easier, making it more fun, making it more enjoyable. And that's what all this stuff is for. You don't really have to have anything that I mentioned in here. You could do it the way you want to do it. But what I'm trying to get at is that there's no one way. Every way is, any way is the right way. There's no wrong way. You could do it any way you want. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this episode, and we're going to circle back around in the next one. We're going to start over at the very beginning, and we're going to pick one item, and we're going to talk about that one item and different experiences with that one item. We're going to be basing this off of the book, Primitive Camping and Bushcraft, and go ahead and pick your copy up. Right now, it's on sale on Amazon for like $16. It's actually pretty good. A little deal. It's like 15-20% off, something like that. And then you can pick it up on any kind of major retail outlet, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target, any of those right there. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and don't forget to join the Facebook group, Primitive Camping and Bushcraft, and I'll see you in the next episode and the next video. God bless you.